On today's show, who's the most important role player for the Dallas Mavericks next year? And what does it mean to be the most important role player? Talk about that and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
10 Mavericks, NBA champions. Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day. Join the Raccoon Squad, be an everydayer. Subscribe, follow for free. Just search Locked On Mavericks wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube. But the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day and to comment anything below. Let us know in the comment section who's the most important role player, meaning a non-Luka Kyrie player. Who's the most important role player for the Mavericks next year? This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook partner of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/Locked On today to get started. If you want to support the show, text us, get text alerts from us on if Josh Green played today, what did Dante Exum look like in FIBA, rumors on the Mavericks, all that kind of stuff. Get text straight to your phone, subscribe to our subtext, click the link in the description below. And joining me, as always, my co-host, writer, contributor, Mavs.com, Studio 41, the wee back boy, the one more thing king. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
I'm back in Texas.
Baby.
There's nothing like, hopping off the plane here in Texas and it's like, wow, I can feel the heat through the...
It's like when you leave DFW airport, it's like there's two double glass doors that you walk through. As soon as you walk through that first one, you can just feel it. Like, oh man, it's
like
coming.
I regret it all. I'm like, this morning I was literally sitting on the edge of a cliff in Maine, with my legs just dangling over the ocean, looking at a lighthouse, enjoying the weather and the ocean. And now I'm back in the sauna in Texas. But no, honestly, I think one of the cooler things, we had pods over the weekend. If you didn't get a chance to listen to them about Dirk and the enshrinement and all that, but I think one of the cooler parts of this weekend for me was connecting with a lot of you guys, Locked On Mavs listeners, from taking a selfie on the red carpet to, all like both levels of the enshrinement ceremony of the first floor, running into people, second floor, running into people to the flight home. Just people were like, hey, Raccoon Squad, Locked On Mavs,
let's go.
And it's just it's cool. We're just two dudes that do a podcast and talk Mavs, and it's nothing about us. It's just that it's cool to see like just how you guys have shared this show. We've been doing this 7 years now, and this is our 7th year every day, and yeah, it's a lot. I've talked to you more than my wife, I think. And
I think that's true too for me.
But no, I mean, this show has grown. Like stuff like that only happens because you guys share the show. You're posting it. You're posting quotes. You're sending it to friends and all of that. So thanks for listening. And it was just, that part was cool.
I was trying to think, do I get 30 uninterrupted minutes with my wife every day? Do I?
I don't think my wife gets 30 minutes with me. I think she would.
Well, you have two toddlers, so I don't have that same thing. I got one dog. Yeah. Great stuff from the Hall of Fame. Like Isaac said, we did a couple episodes. They're on YouTube. They're on the podcast feed. The podcast feed also a bonus on it. I also did some episodes on FIBA with Slovenia and all that. I didn't do one on Josh Green this morning because he did not play. He was out with an elbow injury in Australia's first FIBA preparation game against Venezuela. They rocked Venezuela. Dante Exum had a pretty good game. You can check out some of those highlights. I texted them to our subtexters. And Josh should come back. I asked Kane Pittman of Locked On Bucks. He reports for ESPN Australia. And he said that it's just a minor injury. They expect him to play in the next couple of preparation games. And he expects Josh Green to be a lock to play for this team. So he expects him to have a real role on this Boomer team. It's so funny calling them the Boomers, but that's what their national club name is. So that's what we go by. On today's show, though, we're going to get into who's the most important role player on the Dallas Mavericks. And then we kind of want to go through who's the most important role player on the rest of the West team. So I got a list. Isaac put together his list. I'm curious what yours are for some of these, because some of these West teams, you could go in any different direction on these. But let's start here. The most important role player for the Mavericks to me.
Wait, how many players did you debate?
Like 3.
Interesting. 3.
Yep, I did 3.
I debated 2.
I think we have the same 2, Josh Green and Grant Williams.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, let me start.
Who the crap is your third?
Let me start with the third one then. Is it fair to say the most important role player is maybe a player that won't play right away? Could it be Dereck Lively? Because if Dereck Lively is good, and is playable right away, that just changes so much for this team. Like, think about what we're talking about if he isn't playable right away. Your centers are Dwight Powell and Richaun Holmes. Even if Richaun Holmes is good and you expect him to come in and be at least as good as Dwight or maybe a little bit better than Dwight, he's doing the same things as Dwight. Can your most important role player be a player that may not play right away? That's my question. Because if he can play, then it's Dereck Lively, right? Like, if he does play.
Yeah, I don't think I can't put him in that conversation. I don't think he does play right away as like a starting center and stuff. I think he comes off the bench. I have been the more people I've talked to now, we had one of them, on the show. So that was,
McMahon,
public. Yeah. And McMahon and Evie Cato and stuff. The more people I talk to, the more I'm like, is he going to spend some time in Frisco?
Yes, I think he will.
So that's why I just couldn't put him in the same category as Josh and Grant. I think they're going to be locked in to their roles. I think they're going to be locked into starting. I'd be surprised if Josh doesn't start. And they're defending, like, perimeter guys on the wing just means so much to this team. We've seen a Luka Doncic team win at a high level without a good big.
Right.
So but we haven't seen a Luka Doncic team win at a high level and go deep into playoffs without 2 guys on the perimeter that's playing over 40 minutes and defending their butts off.
I just wanted to make the case for Dereck Lively early so that we could get that out of the way, because if he is playable, maybe he spends some time in Frisco by February, he could be the most important role player. That's my case. It's like, if he is, because he's the only legit 7-footer that expects to play at some point, because JaVale's not going to. And the only one that can rebound, really. So that's the question that we're trying to answer. But I agree that the real answer, since Dereck Lively is not expected to play early on, is between Josh Green and Grant Williams. Between the two, who did you pick as the most important?
Honestly, I spent too much time debating on this. I really did.
I think that you can spend as much time as you want on this, because it's a hard question.
Because there's a difference between this pod and the one we did last week. So last week we did an episode of who would be the Mavs role player that, if they had a career year and took the biggest leap, it would mean the most for this team. And I put Josh as my answer on that because just him. I mean, there's a lot of reasons. Listen to that pod that if he had career year Josh and went to that next level, how much that would mean for this team and guarding other point guards and all the different stuff. I lean towards Grant Williams being the most important role player for this team because I think he's locked in as a starter.
Yep.
I think he's locked in to play. I think he's locked in to have a career role also. I don't think any of that's changing. I think in every lineup, every best lineup of this team has to have Grant Williams on it. Like the closing lineup, small ball lineup, starting lineup, you name it. Right. I think he has to be in there. And
big lineup.
The only other 2 players is Kyrie and Luka. So I think he has, like, those 3 are a part of all the best lineups, and he's going to get the top perimeter defensive matchup every single night.
Yeah.
And if he sucks, it's going to be really bad. But if he's really good, and I said this last week, I think he's going to be right there in contention for an all defensive team. I think he's going to show that to the league this year, that he can guard these, guys on the perimeter on a consistent basis. That's why I lean towards him. I gave him the edge.
I'm giving Grant Williams the edge as well. And I have a little bit of a different reason than you, but it's still important. And I'm
coming up next.
I'm going to tell you why next.
That's a good greeny one. We'll tell you why Grant Williams is the key to the Mavericks.
But before we do, let me tell you about FanDuel. FanDuel has you covered with all of the props, the odds, all kinds of stuff like that. And football season's about to kick off. You can check it out and see everything that's available. But they also have a new bet that you can make right now. You bet a Super Bowl winner. You can get bonus bets every time they win in the regular season. Just pick any team to win the Super Bowl. If you're feeling really good about the Cowboys, you think, you know what, Zeke Elliott cut his hair. Maybe the Cowboys bring him back, and then all of a sudden he regains what he was early in his career. Maybe if you're feeling good about that, you can win every time they win in the regular season as well. Just pick any team, and however many regular season wins they get, you get bonus bets that you can spend on spreads, props, over-unders, more. Check it all out. Again, FanDuel.com/lockedon to start earning bonus bets with America's #1 sportsbook. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon.
My first shot, my first make.
Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, listening to the show, being part of the Raccoon Squad.
What was that?
And every dayer. You haven't seen this yet? This is a clip from Luka throwing deep bombs, like trying to shoot from the corner, and he hits this one.
My first shot, my first make.
That's pretty good. You also got to clip something from the Kyrie thing that you tagged me on Twitter. He called Adrian Wojnarowski Adrian today. Did you see that? Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Also, because people are going to be in the comments, whoever listens to the ads, and they're going to be telling you this. Zeke signed with the Patriots today.
Today he did? Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, I know. People are going to be in the comments telling you that. So
that's okay. I'm okay to not know where Zeke Elliott goes. That's fine with me. Yeah. Oh, is that why Bill Simmons was trying to talk himself into him today? I saw some.
Was he?
Yeah, Bill Simmons was tweeting about him today, and then somebody quote tweeted it and said, Bill Simmons trying to talk himself into both Kristaps Porzingis and Zeke Elliott in the same summer. What a world.
That's awesome.
All right, Isaac, let's get into why I think that Grant Williams is the most important role player. I wanted to pick Dereck Lively really badly. I wanted to go full hot take mode and pick Dereck Lively because I think by February he could be the most important role player. But starting off the season, starting at the beginning of the season, who we know like is a guaranteed, all right, this is a quantifiable player that I can put in front and say this is the most important player who will play day one for Jason Kidd. It's Grant Williams. And it's Grant Williams because he does different things than what we've seen from Reggie Bullock and Dorian Finney-Smith in the past. And even from Josh Green. He can guard bigger guys. Who does Grant Williams guard the most? On his list of guys he guarded the most last year was Joel Embiid, was Giannis, was like some of these big guys. He can guard centers. He got stepped on even, but he can cover some of the Mavericks' weaknesses in a way that a Josh Green, a Dorian, a Reggie, some of these guys, an Omaxi, like some of these guys can't cover in the past. And I think that's going to be really valuable. Even a Maxi, like Grant Williams can do things that Maxi can't do. And I think that that's going to be super valuable for the Mavericks to have that, to cover up some of those and to do a little bit more. And also, he's 24, going to be 25. Like he can still grow a little bit. I expect him to take a little bit of a step up because he's going from a smaller role with the Celtics to a bigger role. And he's been talking a lot about how he wants to prove himself and show that he's a starter and all that.
I thought you meant like grow in height, and I was like,
he could. Okay. You want me to do that? Hold on. He's only 24 years old. Like the human body doesn't stop growing by the time you're like 25. So like he could grow another inch over the off. Like if he comes into camp at 6'8", isn't that completely different than him at 6'6"?
The Texas heat, it just makes your bones grow.
Listen, it's so hot here. And when there's heat in the air, atoms are farther apart, right? Like the air is all that. Like his atoms are going to like expand. And so he'll expand.
In all seriousness, Jaden McDaniels, I saw a report the other day that Jaden McDaniels has grown an inch or two for Minnesota.
I'm so ready for muscle watch and height watch and all that going in. That's one of my favorite things about Media Day. It's just all the muscle watch. Like
Weight Watchers and Media Day is huge.
It'll come in and be like, Chet Holmgren has added 7 pounds of muscle over the offseason.
Dude. I'm so glad you brought that up. They when I was watching the Summer League game, they showed a before and after his rookie season, and
it was the same guy.
Dude, I was laughing so hard. I'm like, all right, he's a tad bit toned, but
Chet Holmgren, when they showed that, he said he was like 208. I think that like the after picture was him at Dereck Lively was like 235 in college. Like, and so he is starting 40 pounds heavier than what Chet Holmgren is starting at in the NBA. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
So it's Grant Williams to me is the most important. Though the case for Josh Green is that he could take a step forward in a way that I don't think Grant Williams could take a step forward. If Josh Green, he's going to guard the point of attack thing, players. I talked a lot about Josh Green yesterday. I talked about his extension, but I also talked about Josh Green defending in the pick and roll. And that's something that he did a lot. And he ranked good in synergy the last 3 years, defending the pick and roll ball handlers. And so if he takes a little bit step forward, he solidifies himself. He can also do some offensive things. He can shoot the ball, but he can pass pretty well. He can put the ball on the deck a little bit. He's got a little bit of a floater. I forgot about that. And I was watching some clips back of him like running a pick and roll.
Justin Jackson is not on that level.
He's not on the Justin Jackson roll.
But you mentioned this about Grant the other day, about Grant's ability to put it on the floor. Just think about switching Reggie and Dorian out for Josh and Grant. Which shout out to the clip that Dorian shared on Instagram today. He's working on Tyler, Ralph here in Dallas, and he put this dribble move he's been working on. I was like, Dorian adds that to his game. It's pretty nasty.
Well, Dorian did start to. Dorian had 3 drives a game last year. I looked this up yesterday. Dorian had 3 drives a game. Josh Green had 5 drives a game last year, which is a step up from there. Grant Williams drove like 2.5 times a game for the Celtics last year, but he only played under 25 minutes. Reggie Bullock drove it 0.4 times a game.
I believe it.
Every other game, Reggie Bullock would drive once. And Grant Williams is going to at least quadruple that.
Yeah. So anyway, just switching out to those 2 guys. And the thing we haven't mentioned about Grant so far, we have in other pods, is he's a 40% 3-point shooter. So it's another reason to talk about why he's such an important role player on this team.
Absolutely. Let's go through the rest of the Western Conference because I think this will be fun. Let's go through.
Let's take a bet. How many do you think we matched up on?
2 out of 14. I think we'll be all over the place. I picked some wild ones, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm going to go through in order of the standings from last year.
Okay, I'm ready.
Denver Nuggets.
Christian Brown.
This is my second pick. My first one is Michael Porter Jr. because he does count as a role player for them.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. I picked Christian Brown because I feel like he's the natural Bruce Brown replacement.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to have a good season. I like what I've seen from him last year.
Also, think about their guard rotation now. It's like Jamal Murray, Reggie Jackson, Christian Brown. KCP is starting at the 2, but that's your whole rotation right there.
Reggie Jackson bounce back here.
To me, it's Michael Porter Jr. because they've got to replace some of that scoring from Bruce Brown. And if he can take a step forward, that's why he's important. He's just got to keep growing as a player. Also, injury prone, and if he goes down with an injury, they have problems. They have real problems. And Vlatko Čančar is probably going to be out for a while, so they don't really have a ton of wings to
hold. Did you mean Conchar?
I did not. Memphis Grizzlies. This is an easy one to me.
Really? Easy one?
Yeah, very easy.
I mean, I guess some of this is defining who the role player is. Did you make Marcus Smart a role player?
To me, a role player is like a non-all-star.
Okay. I had Smart too.
Yeah, Smart. It's so easy.
I was debating on Laravia versus Zaire Williams.
Jake Laravia.
Yeah, but then I was like, no, Marcus Smart's a role player, so.
He is. There's no Tyus Jones this year. And Tyus Jones was their table setter, backup. He really helped when John Morant missed games. He wasn't great when he started, but he was good coming off the bench, really good. He's gone. John Morant is out at least the first 25 games, and he misses some games with injury. That's a lot on Marcus Smart to set the table, to be the point guard. Derrick Rose is there, Desmond Bane is there, but it's a lot on Marcus Smart to replace those 2 guys.
Yeah, it has to be Smart.
It's got to be that. Sacramento Kings. Took some time on this one.
I know, I did too. I think I'm the comments are gonna have fun with these because they're gonna be disagreeing with us.
That's great.
I went Keegan Murray. I
did too.
We already have 2 the same.
That's it. That's all we're gonna get is the 2.
Shut it down.
My first make.
Because you look at the roster and you're like, all right, Fox and Sabonis, that's their stars.
Yep.
Outside of that, so then you're debating on Barnes, Keegan Murray, Herter,
Davion Mitchell.
Yeah, Malik Monk, Mitchell. And I just think Keegan Murray is the most important role player because if he takes that next step, then that's the thing of, man, I already like their offseason because I think a lot of people are going to think that they're going to take a step back, and I like them kind of betting on their continuity. No, and I like Mike Brown as a coach. But if Keegan Murray takes that next step as a player developing, then it's going to be massive.
Yeah, I'm drinking Matt George's Kool-Aid. I've been listening to Locked On Kings, and I'm drinking the Kool-Aid from his Summer League Classic game in California where he just went off and had 40, and I'm drinking the Kool-Aid on that because if he can create his own shot, it just adds so much to their team. They didn't really fix any of their issues from last year because they just ran it back. They also had incredible fourth quarter luck last year, and so that's why I think they'll take a step back. But if Keegan Murray takes a step forward, they probably don't take a step back. So, all right,
sure. Coming
up. Who's the most important role player on the Phoenix Suns? I've got one that you're probably not thinking of. Coming up.
Oh. You don't believe you shouldn't be here? My first shot, my first make.
I think that may just be my bumper intro for the rest of time.
It sounds like Mario.
I know. It's the funniest new drop. Like, I can't.
My first shot, my first make.
That's great.
The Phoenix Suns. We're going through a list of who we think is the most important role player on each team.
You want me to say mine, or are you going with yours?
Go ahead.
Khloe Kardashian.
What? That's not even the one that was dating Devin Booker, by the way.
Oh, dang it.
She was the one that was married to Lamar Odom.
Okay, so here's the thing with the Suns. You know they have their top 4 players. And, I mean, I guess Eric Gordon, is he a role player? I guess. But basically, it's like close your eyes, pin the tail on the donkey with all the minimum guys, and I ultimately landed on Okogie.
Respectively, pin the tail on the donkey.
Wait, did I say it wrong?
You said pin the tail on the donkey, which just respectively.
Okay.
Respectfully. I'm going Bradley Beal.
Somebody who makes that. No, there's no way.
Think about.
He's not a role player.
Chris Bosh on the Heat. Think about Ray Allen on the Celtics. Like, think about these third guys. You become a role player.
Chris Bosh is a freaking Hall of Famer.
Sure, but he became a role player with the Heat. Like, how many shots a game did he take for them?
But he still made all-star teams. He's not a role player. No.
Okay. If not Bradley, I knew you weren't going to let me take Bradley Beal. My answer is Keita Bates-Diop and maybe Josh Okogie, because Keita Bates-Diop is actually their only big wing defender besides Kevin Durant. You talk about defend when you start bringing up, all right, who's going to defend on the Suns? You're like, all right, Ayton's probably going to defend. Devin Booker's gotten better at defending. KD will defend a little bit. Okogie, but Okogie's like 6'4", 6'5". Keita Bates-Diop's their only defender that's like 6'8", that's not Kevin Durant. That's bad.
Yeah.
And he's very important.
You're a believer in him more than I am. I don't think he's good.
He might not be good. And if he's not good, then they're not good. Then they're going to have some issues to figure out. So,
yeah.
I think he was a solid pickup, like the same way I think like Taurean Prince was a fine pickup for the Lakers. But I don't think he's going to start and be really, really good for them. So, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
The Clippers.
I went with Russ.
Whoa!
First shot, my first make.
I went with Russ too. I thought for sure we were gonna have a different one on the Clippers.
I mean, I thought about it. It's just like, they don't really have other point guards. Like he has to play a role. Yeah, and if I think he's just the more is he going to be classic Russ or is he going to be the team player type? And I think he's the most important one.
He's also the only thing that's different from this Clippers team to the Clippers teams in the past, right? Like. And they also needed that leader. I've listened to Darian Vaziri on Locked On Clippers a lot. He's like a diehard, longtime Clippers fan. Been to a ton of games. Like,
bless his soul.
I found him because of a viral video of him like being so frustrated after they lost that 3-1 lead in the bubble, and he just goes off.
I passed Quentin Richardson and maybe Darius Miles. I haven't seen. I'm doing Darius Miles in like years.
Darius Miles.
I'll pass both of them in a casino over the weekend, and I was like, "Is this Darius Miles?"
You just Google him real quick. But they needed this, like they needed somebody to kick their team in the butt because their stars are just so chill. They needed somebody like that, and Russ was that guy. in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And he was actually good for them last year, and he came back on like $4 million. So it's him for me.
Yeah.
Golden State Warriors.
Jonathan Kuminga.
Oh, Chris Paul. He's a role player now.
I guess he is.
I would also say Clay is a role player now for them too.
No, stop. Get out of here.
He's not making an all-star team.
He's their starting two guard, makes $40 million a year. Like,
so the amount of money you make makes you not a role. Is Ben Simmons a role player?
no, I don't. It's not everything, but I think it means something. Like, I can't put Brad Beal as a role player.
Yeah, you wouldn't let me put Brad Beal as a role player.
No. But no, I land at Kuminga because I think you can like. I just consider like the stars of the team: Steph, Clay, Draymond, Chris Paul. And then when I look at it,
Get 4 stars on that team.
I mean, yeah, I guess Chris Paul is the answer to this.
Chris Paul like had the same numbers as like a normal Ricky Rubio season last year.
Yeah, I went with Kuminga because I don't know. I guess I still believe in this dude, and I still am hoping out for like him take a big next step. And they really don't have, kind of going to the Suns part. They don't, outside of like Draymond, they don't have. Gary Payton almost has to like go up the, punch up to the next weight class when he guards bigger wings. And if he takes a big step forward, that'd be massive for him.
Yeah. To me, it's Chris Paul because just him fitting in and them being able to defend with like him and Steph and Clay on the floor at the same time is going to be so fascinating to see how they figure that out. They did it with Jordan Poole, so I think they'll be fine. But yeah that just like integrating him, figuring that out. They hate him. Like they don't like Draymond Green has literally admitted that they don't like him. So I think he's the most important.
That's pretty wild. Saw him this weekend. I just forget. I haven't processed it that he's a Warrior.
It won't feel real until even in the preseason, it probably won't feel real. It'd be like, oh, there's a weird exhibition game where a player gets to switch teams. But that first,
like Steph checking out of the game and Chris Paul checking in, like what is going on?
No. The first Chris Paul drive and like fake pull up mid range, but kicks over to Steph. That's gonna be so weird.
Or just Steph turn into just like more off ball Steph as Chris Paul's like running the thing. It's just
all right. Minnesota Timberwolves.
Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah, this is who I had too.
Yeah, I mean, really, the athletic writer. I forget it. I'm forgetting his name right
now. John Krasinski, but not the guy from The Office.
He was the one who actually reported a few weeks ago that Jaden McDaniels is measuring like 6'11" now.
Dang,
just crazy. To think about.
Do they need another center? Can we do that thing?
Like he's taller than Nas Reed, and but no, yeah, I think he's kind of in a similar vein as Grant Williams as far as like what they're asking him to do and defend and hit threes and all of that for the team. Yeah, he's their role player.
He's also a restricted free agent at the end of this year, and I just wrote down he could bankrupt them because they all of a sudden have Towns is jumping up from $36 to $49 million next year. Edwards' deal kicks in next year. Gobert's still on the books for 43. Like
no, I mean one of those bigs is getting traded before February.
They already have $142 million in cap. Or no, they have $162 million in cap without Jaden McDaniels for next season, like the 2024-25 season. So like a $20 million Jaden McDaniels deal would be, I mean, they would be the second apron already. And Minnesota in the second apron makes no sense.
Just start researching what teams have cap space next summer and just pencil them in for a Towns trade sometime between now and February.
Let's do the last couple here. The Pelicans, I picked Trey Murphy III.
Ooh, interesting. I put Dyson Daniels.
Interesting.
I debate on Herb Jones, but I put Daniels because
you wanted a boomer on the list.
Yeah, I do. I like Daniels a lot, but I think they really need him to be that point guard to play with CJ McCollum. They need a defending bigger point guard to guard. They need him to be their Josh Green, basically. And Alvarado's too small. I mean, I guess you could, you put Herb Jones on those guys, but I like Dan. I guess it would be Herb Jones, think about it. But
well, I think Trey Murphy has a chance to surpass Herb Jones. Listening to Jake Madison and listening to people talk about Trey Murphy, people are really high on Trey Murphy taking some kind of leap.
He could shoot the lights out.
He can shoot the lights out. We know he can dunk. Well, we think he can dunk. He was in the dunk contest, but
Yeah.
So if he takes a leap, that could be big. The Thunder. This one was an easy one for me.
Really?
Yeah.
This was kind of hard for me. I said Micic.
Wow. Okay, give me the case.
I just don't think they pay him. I mean, he's gonna make like $7 or $8 million next year. He's
Yeah.
making more than Josh Giddey and a bunch of their
Oh,
guys
he's a
on the
rookie
team.
deal.
And I just don't think that they like make this big of a point to bring him over and then not playing. I think he's gonna have a big role on the team. And you start looking at the rest of the roster, it's like, I mean, are we really gonna count some of these rookies? Like I struggle with them and Houston because it's like, who's a role player? Like Chet, J-Dub, like
Yes.
Giddey, SGA. Like, are these all like their main
Everyone
players?
everyone but SGA to me is a role player.
Okay, because the only one other person I debated was Dort, but
Dort's a good one. To me, it was easily Chet because all the stuff I went through with the Dereck Lively episode I did a couple of weeks ago now, there's only been 2 centers in the last 15 years as a rookie that started over 30 games for a team that won more games than they lost. Miles Turner, who was a power forward for a lot of time, and Thon Maker on Jason Kidd's Bucks. Those are the only centers to start more than 30 games on a team that won more games than they lost. So Chet Holmgren could be the next one if the Thunder want to be over 500 and start Chet every single game. Like, it's important.
yeah.
The Jazz. This is a hard one.
Honestly, I didn't even know who to pick.
I went with Colin Sexton because this is the Utah Jazz guards right now. Colin Sexton, Chris Dunn, Taylor Horton-Tucker, Jordan Clarkson, Keontae George. That's a lot on Colin Sexton. I don't know what they're gonna do. Like,
Most important role player for what? To win games, to get traded,
Yeah, who
to
knows?
help them lose games. Like I wrote down Akbaji, just like as a young player, because I feel like Kessler, Markkanen, that we kind of know that they're really good.
Yeah. John
like,
Collins could be that. I mean, if he
They have a fascinating roster. I was looking at that so
it's
much.
real
today, I'm
top
like,
heavy.
what is, those guys, John Collins and Clarkson, they have like some like win now players, but then like Keontae George was fun in summer league. And,
Taylor Hendricks.
yeah, I'm like, I don't know what they're going for, but
Yeah. Portland Trailblazers. I struggle with this one. I just put Scoot. I know he's not technically a role player when Dame leaves.
what?
but
How are you putting Scoot as a role player?
I put Russell Westbrook. We put Russell Westbrook and Marcus Smart.
Yep, Scoot's the best player on the team when Dame's traded.
It'll still be Simons the first year probably.
Oh no,
But-
Scoot's winning Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
Yeah, Scoot.
Who do you pick besides Scoot then?
I pick Thibault.
It's so annoying.
Because I just look at it and say like Scoot and Shaden Sharp are like the main guys, and Jeremy Grant, and I was like, all right,
we should be talking about who's starting between Josh Green and Matisse Thybulle right now.
yeah, that's kind of sad,
That's what I'm saying. Houston Rockets, the easiest one on the list.
dude. I didn't even pick anybody. I was like, screw it.
None.
I just said they're all role players, except for Van Vliet. I mean, he's their star.
I'm clipping this and sending it to Jackson. Dylan Brooks, come on. Dylan Brooks he can make or break this team so easily.
Where's Jackson on Dylan Brooks? Because I swear, if I was a Rockets fan, I would just be
How long is
whining.
it's been 1 month? He's 100% talked himself into by now. If I know Jackson, he's got to have talked himself into him by now.
You gave Dylan Brooks $80 million to play above, like he's going to be playing above some of those wings, and I would be pissed.
There's a clip going around right now of the Canadian team, and Dylan Brooks is on, and Dwight Powell's on, and Dylan Brooks totally overthrows Dwight Powell so far, and Dwight Powell has to reach back so far, and he catches it, and then there's like 3 seconds left, and so he just tries to throw up a hook shot, and he gets blocked, and this guy is clowning Dwight Powell the whole time. I'm like, Dylan Brooks is the one that threw that pass really bad. Like
Dwight's like, that's why I took the minimum to stay in Dallas and not go to Houston.
Yeah, not go play Dylan Brooks.
I ain't playing with him.
The Spurs, last one.
I put Reggie Bullock because he's the most important for him because they need his veteran leadership on the team.
Bang Bros.
Let me guess, you said Wemby.
No, I picked Jeremy Shohan.
Oh, okay.
He's already got Wemby to change his hair. So he's the
really?
Yeah, have you seen Wemby's hair?
Is it a different color?
Yes, and shaved.
Whoa. All right.
It's all over Twitter.
This is my birthday. Remember, this is my birthday trip we're going on.
Yes, yeah, we're hoping to go to the Spurs home opener and then the Mavs first game of the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sochan, I think, but also Sochan, honestly, because he's the long-term fit next to Wembanyama at the 4. And how much do we see of them? Can they? It's all about how it fits around Wembanyama this season. So that to me is why it's the most important.
Yeah, that's a good one.
There you go. Let us know in the comment section who's the Mavericks' most important role player. We'll be back tomorrow with more Dallas Mavericks talk. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.